It's Christmas. Baby, please come home.
From the creators of Relevant Magazine, this is the Relevant Podcast.
Yeah! The snow's coming down. I'm watching it fall. Lots of people around. Baby, please come home. The church bells in town. They're ringing a song. What a happy sound. Baby, please come home.
It's Friday, December 13th, Friday the 13th, 2019. You're listening to the Relevant Podcast, an unlucky edition of the Relevant Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Huckabee, here in Nashville, Tennessee. Meanwhile, in Orlando, Florida, our illustrious producer keeping things on the rails down there is Chandler Strang. Hey, Chandler.
Hello.
And out there in Loveland, Virginia, back in the saddle after a week on vacation. I don't even know what he's been up to. I hope that is going to be part of our upcoming witty repartee here in the next couple of minutes is our friend Jesse Carey.
Hello, hello.
Jesse, you look very windswept. You're pulling pieces of sand out of your eyelashes from your beard is down to your navel. Where have you been for the past couple of days?
I've been on a little vacay in a lovely part of the country called Palm Springs, California. Never been there, but I will say this. It has made me an advocate for golf cart culture. Okay, where I was, golf carts are the primary form of communication or transportation.
I like communication, though.
It is, too. I mean, because it's mostly just little waves. I mean, most people are just communicating via a little wave. Here's what I've learned about golf carting. It's impossible not to feel super chill when on a golf cart.
Yeah.
Like it's really like you can be really stressed out, right? Like you can be stressed to the max. You hop on that golf cart. It only goes so fast. They got governors on them, you know? And so it limits your speed. The golf cart is really like a sermon analogy, you know? You sometimes in life you just throw that governor on, slow down a little, you know? There's no windows or anything. You're exposed to elements. It's impossible not to feel awesome riding a golf cart. They're super fun. You feel kind of invincible. You feel like I could probably make that turn. I could probably hop that curb. That's going to be no big deal. Like everything about being on a golf cart is just awesome. Like there's nothing about it that isn't just fantastic. Like I'm considering investing in a golf cart.
I was talking to a friend recently whose parent or grandparent, I think, is getting a little bit up there. They're starting to get a little concerned about driving, about letting this individual continue to drive, right? And so they were thinking of compromising by giving them a golf cart, taking the car away and giving them a golf cart to drive. I'm not sure how I feel about that because I think a golf cart is actually more dangerous in some ways because you feel so in charge when you're in a golf cart. Cars, you have got a little bit like, okay, this is a big machine. This can go up to 120 miles an hour if I floor it. I got to be careful. Golf carts, it's like, what? I'm going to drive through the sidewalk. I'm going to take it down through Times Square, into the mall, down the escalator to the candy aisle and buy myself something and then drive back out the same way.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like they can go anywhere. They can do anything. And here's it. Like if you are driving like on a normal road, okay, and someone just happens to like merge on a golf cart. No one's angry. Everyone's like, well, that's whimsical and cool.
It's a move.
I wish I was the person on the golf cart. Like you're instantly jealous. Like, wow, man, that dude's on a golf cart. That seems pretty chill and fun. You know, no one's judging the golf cart person. You know, golf cart people have it figured. Other than golfers, if someone's in a golf cart, you know they got life figured out. Here, okay? Like, one, you're like a Secret Service guy and you're driving around the president or something. Secret Service has it figured out. You're a retiree who doesn't want to get behind the wheel of the car, don't got time for that, and they're going to keep their radius tight. That's the other thing, too. So you don't got time to drive across town. You got to keep a tight radius. You got a battery on this bad boy. It's not going that far, you know? Keep a tight radius. You got to figure it out. You got your whole life like in a half-mile radius. Golf cart people know what's going on. That's my big takeaway here.
This is a story that I probably shouldn't. I probably shouldn't tell, but you know what? It's Friday. It's December 13th. It's Friday the 13th. I'm just gonna chance it. I'm gonna take a risk on this day. I remember this was a couple of years ago. Me and some friends were at it. We weren't golfing. We were watching some sort of golf tournament. I'm not a big golfer, but they invited me to come along, and so I decided to join them to watch this tournament. After the tournament was over, we were walking back towards our cars. There was a golf cart in the way. My friend, for some reason, had keys to his own golf cart at a golf course. He worked at a golf course. We weren't at that golf course, but apparently golf carts, there's only like 3 or 4 different keys. They all kind of work. It's like a university. If you got one golf cart key, you got them all. So we just hopped in this person's golf. I don't know who it belonged to or why it was standing there or why it was abandoned, but we took it out. We drove it off the golf cart. We went to lunch in that thing and just left it there.
Listen, if I was like a presidential candidate, right? My platform would be like, it wouldn't be like every American gets a golf cart. It would be like golf carts are just going to be around. Like every city.
Yeah.
It's like Limes, but you don't even need the app. It's just golf carts are just sitting around town. Okay. And it's this big social community experiment. If you need a golf cart, there's just one sitting around. Like I would take a bunch of money that we're spending on, like battleships or something. And then listen, nothing against, the Navy.
We're not denigrating the military. Yeah.
Yeah, but something that's like, if we had like one less, we might not even know the difference. And I would just buy like a few 100,000 golf carts and just pepper them through the country and just give every American a little taste of that freedom when you get back, you get behind the wheel, one of those 8 volts or whatever. I don't know what the batteries are, but it's true about the keys, right? Because I had a buddy, my roommate in college, he used to work at a country club and when he was in high school, and this was freshman year, and he claimed the same claim that you had, that there's only like 5 golf cart keys in the world. Like there's a pretty good chance that if you have this one of these like universal keys, you can just get in any golf cart and just go, right? And so the whole year we're like, yeah, right, whatever, man, because security on campus drove golf carts, So
you had access.
There were golf carts everywhere.
Yeah.
There were golf carts everywhere. And so sure enough, we're busting his chops all year. So we think he's just making this up. Literally last week's school was finals week, which ended up being a big part of the story. This kind of the saving grace of the story. It's finals week, and he goes and he's like, look what came in the mail today. One of my buddies at the golf course sent me the key. And so he puts it in his pocket, and we're just waiting for the right opportunity. It's like 2 a.m. We're going like, to like, I don't know, Wendy's or some, fast food place, wherever you go in college that's open super late. We notice in just an open parking lot on campus is an unmanned security golf cart just sitting there, just right for the take. We have no idea where the security guard is. We have no idea why. It was almost entrapment. It was almost like a bait car. You know what I mean?
Like security's just waiting there in the bushes for someone to try to steal it so they can make the arrest.
So we're like, all right, Tim, here's your chance, dude. And so he gets out of the car, jumps in the golf cart. Dude, it fires right up. And he just zips around, joyriding. Well, it doesn't take long before the security guard comes running out. And so then, the wise move for Tim would be to jump off the golf cart and just run, because that security guard's more concerned about the golf cart than the perp at this point, and so if he just would have ghost ridden that thing, just jumped off the golf cart and let it roll, the security guard would have gone after that.
Yeah.
Instead, he made a critical mistake, and he ended up pulling it out onto the main road out in front of campus, like the actual road, right? At that point, just as luck would have it,
he's fleeing the scene. Oh,
he's fleeing the scene. And but if you're in a golf cart, you got to take little side paths, right? You don't want to get out on the road. Like you're not going to.
No, this is not going to be a high speed, Fast and Furious type situation. You've got to be smart.
No, hightail it through like a field or something. They're golf carts. They're made for lots of terrain, right? So he drives out on the main road. Sure enough, just as luck would have it, a police car is driving down the road and pulls up behind him and starts flashing the lights. Another police car. It ends up there are 3 police cars with their lights going, and he's like on the main road in the middle of the night on this golf cart, and just decides, well, my only move is I have to run the red light. Maybe that will aid my escape. He runs the red light. Okay. Then, like, we're watching from the distance, like, oh, Tim, no. And so he's got 3 police cars behind him. He's just run a red light. You ever seen someone on like a little cart or something where they try to make it go faster, but they start rocking back and forth? You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like
you're on one of those one of those little toy horses at the supermarket. You put a quarter in.
And he wanted to go faster. He's like subconsciously, like involuntarily, like rocking back and forth, thinking this will give me the speed boost I need to evade arrest. So eventually, after a chase, he decides to give himself up. And the security guard who he stole it from eventually catches up and talks to the police. And they said, we'll handle this on campus, So they take him. And we're up in the dorms and we're like, we didn't want to abandon him, but what are we going to do? The actual police are involved. So, we're back up in the dorms and, we get a call, they had to wake up like, the dorm director or whatever. And it's like a big thing. And they said, thankfully though, everyone was so busy with finals week stuff and wrapping up the school year that they're like, when you come back next year, your punishment will be waiting for you. That's what they told him, that we're going to put it on your file. You'll be punished next year. Sure enough, forgot. No consequences. Moral of the story. You can steal a golf cart and get away with it. You play your cards right. They should. That's why if I was president, that would probably be my only platform. Like, hey, America, how you want like a few 100,000 golf carts just peppered around, just joyride, it'd be Jesse Joyride, and my logo would be a golf cart. They're fun. They solve all the problems.
It feels like, especially when yesterday, I read something like $700 billion or something went to the Space Force yesterday. That kind of got cleared through Congress. I don't pretend to understand what the Space Force is or what it's going to do or why it exists. But it seems like with that many $1 billion, it would take a fraction of that for your plan to be implemented nationwide. Yeah. And I think it would self-regulate, because if everybody gets one key, then you're maybe like a 1 in 3 chance it's going to work on your golf cart anyway. Yeah. So it's sort of it's like a fun little game throughout the day. Like, oh, maybe this cart will be the way I get to work, or maybe I'll have to walk.
Yeah, well, exactly. And the other thing too, it's good for the environment because, like I said, when you have the golf cart, you keep the radius tight too. You're not trouncing around town, right? No, if you have access to a golf cart, you're like, I don't want to take the real car. Like, I got a golf cart. Golf carts are too fun. Also, you eliminate road rage. It's impossible to be mad in a golf cart. Like, someone who cuts you off, you're like, oh, that was kind of funny. Like, oh, gee, let's race in our golf carts.
It feels like there should be like a little like Calliope music behind it when you're driving around. You could get like some of the big green activists on board, like Greta Thunberg would be, she'd like rubber stamp this one, lend her support to it. This is a winning platform. It is not too late to put your name in the hat for 2020, Jesse.
I mean, listen. It's hard for candidates to differentiate themselves these days. Everyone's kind of wanting versions of the same thing, right? I'm the only one who's advocating that a majority of our GDP be spent on hundreds of thousands of golf carts, just pepper them. And my slogan's keep the radius tight. In 2020, you don't need to go far. Just cart it around. It solves a lot of problems. It builds community. People hang by their house. I think it's a great idea. Road fatalities go. There's never been a fatal golf cart accident ever. The most you can get hurt is try to jump out while moving. And trust me, I've jumped out many a golf cart while I was going full speed and just fine. I was just fine. I mean, that's kind of the fun of it. Kind of the fun of having the golf cart is either pushing a passenger out or jumping out at full speed, because you're not going to get hurt. It's just, you feel like an action hero for a moment, Listen, there are too many benefits to really get into. I think I'm making a pretty good case here. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, you've got my endorsement for whatever good the Huckabee. I know it doesn't have the same weight as my father, the former governor of Arkansas, but I still got the name. I still got the legacy brand behind it.
I want to be in one of these. I want to be like in one of these debates, and and like, Wolf Blitzer's like, Senator Warren, that is your take on standardized testing. Candidate Kerry, your response. Well, here's the thing. You can jump out full speed in the golf cart and not even get that hurt. So, what was the question? Oh, you keep the radius tight too. You're not going that far from the house. And so that's cool. That's cool. I mean, it really keeps running errands,
If you want to go far, go with one of those candidates. If you want to get there in one piece, you got to go with candidate Kerry.
Listen, I want to ask everyone up on this stage, looking at you, Mr. Yang, Bernie. I don't think this applies to you, Senator Sanders, Senator Warren. You guys ever jump out of a moving car? Heck no, you haven't. I've jumped out of mini golf carts and it's so fun. Every American should do this. Keep the radius tight. Who's not voting for this?
Your version of the Mayor Pete dance is just two hands at 10 and 2, just doing the back and forth, just a little golf cart drive. Well, with that, we better get on to the rest of the show today. We'll return to the golf cart discourse soon, but before we do that, we're going to be joined later on by, this is a good one. Mark Stuart is going to be joining us. Mark Stuart, formerly of Audio Adrenaline, now an author, has a really great story. He's here to talk to us about his new book, Losing My Voice to Find It: How a Rock Star Discovered His Greatest Purpose. Looking forward to that. We're also going to be doing a return of a great segment. We haven't done this in a while. A listener of the week will be joining us later on. But first, before all that, we're going to do the hot list. We'll do that after the break.
Throw away that picture in your head. I am not your typical girl. Work harder now, work harder. Running from myself, I come undone. I wait, I try.
You're listening to Betty by Jamila Woods. At the beginning of the podcast, you heard a festive tune from U2, Baby, Please Come Home. I'm not really usually a fan of Baby, Please Come Home, or even have not been all that big into U2 for the past couple of years. But you know what? This one just was the weird two negatives that made for a positive for me. I was into the song when I heard it. All right, it's time for a look back at the stories, the intersection of faith and culture, biggest stories of the week. It's time for...
It's the hot list. The hot list.
Coming to number 5 this week, this is an interesting study that kind of runs against the narrative a little bit. It says that younger Christians who leave their faith might not come back. I don't know if any of you guys saw this, but the story caught my interest. So historically, American Christians have tended to get a little less devoted in their 20s during the upheaval of college, the job hunt, the general chaos of figuring your life out. But after marriage and parenthood, these people tend to come back to church longing for a little more stability. Now, that's been the case for generations, but new studies suggest that those times might be behind us. A new study from the American Enterprise Institute says millennials who drift from religion are far less inclined to come back than past generations were. What's interesting, I thought, were the reasons for this shift that this study found. They really found 3. First, growing sense among millennials that traditional institutions of Christianity simply don't have a whole lot to offer them. Millennials are far more likely than older generations to believe the American church is hypocritical and judgmental. And even millennials who consider themselves Christians often struggle to find churches where they feel their beliefs and principles are represented. Second reason is marriage, which looks a lot different for our generation than it did for our parents. Millennials are more likely to be part of an interfaith marriage than previous generations, making for more compromise on things like church attendance. And finally, and this was especially interesting because I don't think I've really seen this highlighted before in other studies that I've read about this sort of phenomenon, is the religious identities of millennials' parents. Studies show that boomers and Gen Xers often didn't prioritize religion in their own parenting of millennials, raising millennials with a much looser identification to their faith that they themselves were raised in. In other words, the millennial shift away from religious devotion actually started long before millennials began leaving the church. Does that check out with you guys' sort of own experiences?
Yeah, I think that's really interesting because it sounds like one of the big outcomes of the study. It's like really not necessarily about people's individual relationship with God and the church. It's about their relationship with other people in their life, whether it's their spouse or their significant other or their parents, that really dictates to some degree of whether they're going to remain with the church. I feel like that is pretty interesting and insightful, especially because it kind of goes against, it doesn't go against, but it's a fresh kind of insight, I feel like, than what we've heard, that, a lot of young people leave, mainly because they're cynical or they have been hurt by the church, or the church can't adequately answer their questions. It involves doubt, or they feel like Christians or the church are judgmental or hypocritical. The kind of putting some of the responsibility on other people. Whether that be their parents, or even their peers. I feel like is interesting, and I feel like it shows the importance of people who have remained in the church and remain passionate about their faith to keep people in their lives who are in a different place, right? So like if you're someone who is passionate about your faith, the implications of some of this research is it's really important for you to have relationships with people who aren't involved in the church, or who have left the church for a variety of reasons, because those relationships are really an important factor. I feel like it should be sort of a call to action for Christians who are still passionate about their faith.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think it's doubly interesting that, we've seen lately so many studies and also just stories have come out about the reason. I think that churches, when they first began to sense that they were losing younger generations, and this started probably back in the 90s, they started adding things like activity centers, like gyms to the church. And obviously we all know about like trying to update the music styles. But it seems like what has been missing, the reason people leave really doesn't have to do with the fact they felt like the worship was out of date, or that they couldn't play basketball at church. It had more to do with more substantive issues of their beliefs and their values and their principles. And those are things they just had a hard time seeing reflected back. And that's sort of a chicken or an egg thing. I understand that. But I think that's interesting that it seems like churches tried to tackle this problem the wrong way, or had a real problem but sort of misdiagnosed what the issue or what the reasons behind it were, which has got us to where we are right now. Also interesting to note, kind of like you said, Jesse, we don't see a lot of studies suggesting that people believe in God dramatically less than past generations. Just that their outward identifications, like going to church or calling themselves an evangelical, that's definitely on a huge decline, which is very interesting and harder to quantify, sure. Right?
Yeah.
So number 4 this week, a coalition of worship leaders met with President Trump in the Oval Office. A group of worship leaders, including Brian Houston, Carrie Job, Cody Carnes, and Brian and Jen Johnson, and Sean Foyt, were photographed in the Oval Office. In a video, Carrie Job said that the group prayed for the president and discussed the steps the administration says it's taken to combat human trafficking. Here's a clip.
We've just gotten to be a part of the group today that just got to be a part of praying in the cabinet room and in the Oval Office for President Trump, and got to listen to a lot of the faith briefing of things that are going on in the White House, and just religious freedoms and things like that. But the thing that moved me the most is just how everyone is so for making sure we're changing people's lives and not leaving those that are marginalized and those that have been trafficked and those that are, for sometimes I think those of us that don't work in the White House, it could look really big and like something that we can't really end, but they are working to end these things and to change these things. And I've just been in tears all day. It's been incredible. I'm just so thankful to be a part of this today and to see what God's doing in our White House.
The photograph was criticized for identifying Christian leaders with the president, but in a tweet, Bethel's Sean Foyt said, quote, "If Obama would have invited us, we would have gladly gone. That just never happened. This is about position over politics. Only in 2019 would you gleefully disparage believers." for praying over a president in the Oval Office. This is an interesting one, Jesse. This created a lot of chatter on my timeline over the past couple of days. I know you were out in California, so hopefully you weren't on Twitter too much, but it was the source of a lot of
in Hollywood where I was. They block all Christian content, so I wasn't even aware of this. No, I shouldn't. I did see this, and I think there's a lot to unpack here, right? And so
there's a lot going on,
and full as people, as listeners of this podcast know, I mean, but this isn't really. I don't feel like full disclosure is really necessary because it's pretty obvious. Like, we have personal relationships with a lot of people in that photo. You know what I mean?
Yeah, many of these people have been on this podcast.
Yeah, many times. Some of these people are. I think I've told people in the past. Sean and I went to high school and college together. I've spent a lot of time with a lot of people in that photo, and I do think that praying for people in power is important. I mean, we even heard, and not controversial either, right? I mean, we heard Nancy Pelosi last week talk about how she prays for the president. And she said it before without cynicism. Of course, she's also been very critical of the president. And I think anytime someone asks you earnestly to pray for them as a Christian, I feel like that is something that we should do, right? I mean, the Bible says not only we should pray for our leaders, but we should pray for our enemies. We shouldn't have distinctions of who is and who isn't worthy of our prayer. I think that's a good thing. There's also a long-held tradition of faith leaders coming to the Oval Office to pray for the president. In both parties. Like, Obama might not have invited worship leaders there, but he invited plenty of faith leaders to go and pray for him. He
had, and I think most presidents have had a pretty robust faith outreach and a fairly regular trade. Yeah, I can't speak to whether or not Sean was invited to the Oval Office. Yeah. He says he wasn't, but I know that there certainly were a lot of Christians there, including some people from Relevant who met with the president.
Yeah, and so I think all of those are good and positive things. I also think it's there are things that it's good as Christians to be informed about when it comes to, like they mentioned, something like steps to fight human trafficking. Sure, that's a worthy thing to be knowledgeable about, and the steps being taken by people in power to enact legislation that is positive. But I think what probably rubbed people kind of the wrong way, and I feel like the critics have a point. It's like, it's not that Christian leaders are willing to go pray for the president. Like, I don't think anyone's arguing that's a bad thing. I think it's what the photo op implies, right? Like,
the photo is the issue.
Yeah, exactly. Because look, the Bible specifically talks about this with prayer, that you don't do it showfully. Right? Mm-hmm. Like, it specifically tells Christians, when you pray, do it behind closed doors. Like, don't do it so that other people recognize you praying. Right? Like, that's what Jesus told his followers to do that. Right? Because I think not only did he say it opens you up to look like a hypocrite, because if I'm out making a big showy prayer on, publicly, and then I live my life a different way, I look like a hypocrite. My prayers look false. Mm-hmm. But I feel like it also makes you risk looking pious. And in this case, I feel like the risk is earnest prayers are used for political gain. Right? Mm-hmm. I mean, the photo, the implication is endorsement. Right. I don't know the personal politics of each one of those worship leaders, and I'm sure they're diverse and nuanced. But a photo doesn't communicate that. A photo
doesn't communicate that.
Looks like endorsement. And two, like I said, we like the Bible warns us not to be a showy about prayer. When a prayer service is turned into a photo op, I do think we as Christians seem to be very careful about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's really well put, Jesse. That's really wise, and we do say this criticism with some genuine love and appreciation for some of the people in this photo who we've had the ability to talk to and who have been gracious to us and giving us their time and to be on this podcast and part of our platform in the past. So I when we say all this, we say it with an open invitation for them to respond, obviously, and hope that they take these in the spirit that they're offered. I think that this photo got me asking a lot of questions. Obviously, we've talked on this podcast before, and certainly in my own personal social media feed about our feelings about this administration and the president. I make and I stand by all of those things. And I think that for me personally, if this president were to extend an invitation, I don't think I would feel comfortable taking him up on that. Though, of course, I would continue to pray for people in power in this country. And that's something I take very seriously. I just think that we should be careful. This is a bigger thing than Trump. I think Christians need to be very careful about about being identified with the president, with any president, any political leader of any party in any country, because your witness is so easily conflated with empire, and you don't get a chance to to talk about what you do and don't agree with about this or that, whether it's immigration or taxes or religious freedom or abortion or whatever. That's not something that's going to be communicated in a photo that only shows your personal witness smiling next to a ruler, an earthly ruler. Yeah. And I think we need to be really, really cautious about that, especially in this time of year. There's a reason Jesus didn't come when Jesus was born. He wasn't born in a Roman palace. He was born in a manger. And that's something we've always known. We talk about, I think a lot of these people in this photo will probably talk about over the next couple of weeks from stage. Yeah. And I hope they see what I would consider to be some irony in that, considering this particular photograph.
Yeah. And I also, I don't want to like question the motives of anyone in that photo, because I'm sure not. Because I'm sure, they are pure. Like if you're invited to go pray for someone in power, I feel like you need to take that opportunity. But I do, the photo itself, I can see why it's drawn criticism. And here's that verse I was referring to. It's Matthew 6:5. And when you pray, do not be like the hypocrites, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and on the street corners and to be seen by others. Truly, I tell you, they have received their reward in full. But when you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father who is unseen. Then your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. I don't think any of those people are directly violating this verse, but I feel like the intention of that warning by Jesus is, man, we need to be really careful about what we're kind of showing outwardly, because God, he honors what's done in secret, that what isn't posted on Instagram or, whatever. Today, there aren't a lot of people in the public sphere praying on street corners, right? But there are a lot of people who are posting things on Instagram that could be interpreted as, pious, even if the intentions of the person posting it are positive. And I think that's why Jesus gave us this warning. It's like, listen, are we more concerned about how many people see us doing good things, or are we more concerned about God seeing it? And I feel like, photos like this open up that conversation, along with the conversation, which I feel like you have, articulated well, Tyler, about, not, partisan politics, but being associated with politics in general as people of faith or people in power. We just need to proceed as Christians with extreme caution there,
The last thing I'll say about this, and this is something I thought about a little bit last night as I was kind of just mulling this over a little bit, is, and I want to say this with the caveat that I don't know Nancy Pelosi. I know I have a lot of disagreements with her policies, but when she says that she prays for the president, I don't know how, I take her at her word on that. That may just be a talking point, but let's assume that let's assume the best and assume that she really does pray for the president, pray for the Trump family. She does that, and she meets with the president and has been photographed with the president while still making it very clear that she has some sharp disagreements morally with this administration. I think that a lot of the criticism and even outrage that I've seen would be far less pronounced if there was that sort of nuance that had been laid down ahead of this particular photograph. No, I want people to pray for the president. I want him to be around good people, for him to be advised by people who can speak true things to him. I would be silly for me to not want those things. But I also think that it is possible to do that while still making it very clear that there are things that you don't identify with in the administration. There are things that you have issues with. And I think some of the silence from certain, not all, but from certain Christian leaders has made photos like this look like a tacit endorsement, no matter what they say about it after the fact. Yeah. So there's a broader narrative here that this photograph easily lends itself to that could have been corrected ahead of time, perhaps could still be corrected now by people who were willing to express where they do have issues, if they have issues with this administration. But without that, the photograph just sort of speaks for itself. So that would be that's what I think.
People are going to draw their own conclusions fairly or unfairly based on the information they have. And the information they have is a photo of people smiling without any other context of the nuances of individuals, political beliefs or, opposition to certain policies. People are just going to fill in the gaps based on the information they have. And so that's the other risk. But look, I still think it's a powerful thing that, worship and prayer happens at the White House. And, so I think that's never a bad thing. But I do feel like, this has opened up a really important conversation about the line between Christians' willingness to engage with the political process, but not necessarily be manipulated by it.
Yeah, that's it. And that's enough. That's all we'll say on that. And this is a conversation that I expect will be ongoing. So we'll return to this.
I don't know. I don't know if anyone brought up the golf cart idea too. Like if you're there,
you're there.
You're
direct
there.
access.
You got. Hey, listen, I want to float something by. I'll do the photo, but I can't help but notice these Secret Service people whizzing around here on golf carts. Now, hear me out. Hear me out. A few 100,000, you pepper them. You pepper them because people keep the radius tight. You understand what I'm saying? Am I tracking clear? Like I said, Buddha can figure out the key, Sitch. He can figure that out. You got a bunch of nerds running around here. Let them figure that out. You're an idea guy, like me. They keep the radius tight, don't you see? Think about the time running errands. We're cutting back. It's let me listen. I prepared a brief PowerPoint deck. It's mostly pictures of people having fun on golf carts, but I think you get the idea across.
And this unifies us all.
Now, here's a golf cart that is whimsically outfitted to look like an old Jeep Wrangler. Now, I'm not saying we have to have all of them, but I think a couple of those out there could be kind of fun. This one's got a speaker system in it and an igloo cooler built right in. It's got the back seat. So a lot of options. That's all I'm saying.
You can easily pop the top off on a sunny day. Wind blowing through your hair.
Hey, look at this one. Look at this one. It's got some funny little headlights there. Look like a smiley face right up front. I'm just trying to show you what's possible. That's all.
Felt reindeer antlers season. It's timely.
We got a Rudolph nose. Look how funny that is. Big Rudolph nose right on the golf cart. Okay. You tracking now. Okay. Now I got your attention.
You like Rudolph. I know a Rudolph man when I see you.
Big red nose right up front.
Coming to number 3 this week, a church paid off $10,000 in layaway Christmas presents. I do like these stories. Cascade United Methodist Church in Atlanta is paying off layaway presents for 24 families over the Christmas season at a local Walmart. Senior pastor Kevin Muriel said, "We've been called by God to be here, and we want to be a blessing to those in our community. We believe that God is calling us to do this." He went on to say, "We aren't asking you for anything. All we ask is that at some point in your life that you will pay it forward, that you will bless someone else, because we're all blessed to be a blessing." I'm very into this new trend of churches using their offerings and tithes to erase debt from. I hope it's not just a trend. I hope this is just a new thing that churches really prioritize, because debt is such a stress for so many people in church communities, and churches have resources that very few institutions in this country have to really ease that burden. It's cool to see. Obviously, we talked a lot about medical debt and how that's happened for a lot of churches, but using it for Christmas presents is awesome too.
Yeah, it's just a cool thing. You know what I mean? Like unexpected, different. I mean, there's a lot of worthy. $10,000 can make a huge difference for a lot of people. You know, and that can be involved in a lot of different causes and great things. And I think to come up with something like this, especially around the holidays, and just a no strings attached. Listen, we just want to help people. What a cool thing. Good on this this church in Atlanta.
Yeah, it's a cool way to do. And I think I kind of prefer this to like the like people bringing in their own presents, where they get like a Barbie doll or a toy truck or something. I don't know if that. I have no idea what the kids are playing with. I don't know what the Zoomers are playing with these days. Their iPads and their Steams and their whatever it is they're playing. So using it for layaway money instead makes a lot more sense. That it gives a lot more autonomy to the people who actually are buying the presents. Seems like a cool idea.
Listen, I have placed things in layaway on Walmarts around the country, hoping that some benevolent billionaire, some local pro athlete, some church will come and just pay off the layaway. I'm really rolling the dice here because I've got quite a bit on layaway just around the country, mostly in cities that have mostly in cities that have sports teams, where I feel like some pro athlete in a Santa hat might just walk in one day and just announce that he's paying off the layaways. It's a risk, but you know, you gotta shoot your shot out there, you know.
Number 2 this week, Vampire Weekend and a children's choir went on James Corden for a festive spin on Harmony Hall. I like this. This was I did my little Spotify Wrapped this week. You know, I look back at my year on Spotify. Harmony Hall was my number 1 song of the year. So this was tailor-made. This was tailor-made for the hot list. Nice. Vampire Weekend was joined by a crew of cute kids for a particularly Christmassy spin on Harmony Hall. First single off of this year's Father of the Bride by Vampire Weekend. They performed the whole thing on James Corden's Late Late Show, which began with the kids singing that old Charlie Brown tune, Christmas Time Is Here. Here's a clip. Incidentally, lead vampire Ezra Koenig's longtime girlfriend Rashida Jones was also on Corden that evening, so everyone was really in a festive mood. Are you a Vampire Weekend guy, Jesse?
I am. I like. I don't dislike Vampire Weekend. I'll say that. You know, they kind of have a fun. You know, they have a fun sound.
Well, I'm glad you don't dislike them.
I feel like I can't exclusively listen to Vampire Weekend, but I like to mix it in there. You know, but this was a fun performance. Yeah,
I do like. Yeah, I like the song. I do dig the song. And then finally, number 1 this week. This is a good one. This is a late. This got in just under the deadline to be our number 1 spot in the hot list this week. Kel Mitchell is now a youth pastor. So if you watch TV in the 90s, you would probably remember Kel Mitchell. Alongside Kenan Thompson, obviously has gone on to become a long-running star of SNL. Kel Mitchell played in Nickelodeon series, including All That and Kenan and Kel, as well as the movie Good Burger, based on their sketch comedy. And this month, Kel has a new career. In a Facebook post, Kel said that he has officially become a licensed pastor. According to the post, he is now the youth pastor at LA's Spirit Food Christian Center Church. Along with the announcement, he posted Romans 8:28 and 29, which reads, "And we know that God causes everything to work together for the good of those who love God and are called according to his purpose for them. For God knew his people in advance, and he chose them to become like his son, so that his son would be the firstborn among many brothers and sisters. Though he grew up the grandson of a pastor, Kel has been open about some of the personal struggles he faced before recommitting to his faith. In 2015, he shared on his site, quote, "Let go of your past, be a new creature in Christ. I did. I let him in, and life is good now. My eyes have been opened. I've always known God, but now I have a true understanding of who he is and why I am here and why God has kept me safe. And sinful ways are no longer around me because I'm surrounded with the love of Jesus, and I've allowed him to make the decisions in my life. I study the word. I worship his name with praying and song." So yeah, congratulations to Kel Mitchell.
Yeah, we need more celebrity youth pastors. I only know of Kel. There's got to be more celebrity youth pastors out there. But, Kel actually auditioned for SNL too, but Keenan got the spot. They both auditioned for the same spot. And Keenan ended up getting it.
I wonder why.
Yeah.
Because I always thought Kel was funnier.
I don't know.
Kel was really Kel was the funny one on Kev Keenan. Like Keenan was usually kind of the straight man to Kel's
exactly.
goofball.
Yeah. They should have just hired them both. Like, let's be honest.
I know they should have. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because Keenan's humor has aged really well. I feel like, like he doesn't.
He's consistently the highlight of SNL. Keenan's always good on SNL. Even to sketch is bad, he gives it his all. He's good.
His range is kind of limited, Keenan, like like most of his big laughs come from like the same variation of like a funny look, like those big, when his eyes get really big and he kind of looks to the side, but like, hey, it works. But yeah, it would have been cool. But hey, good for Kel. I mean, if you can't get, SNL didn't work out, but it's cool that he's, it's cool that he's in ministry.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, that will wrap it up for this week's
It's the high list, the high list.
It's sizzling.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Mark Stuart joins us.
Every minute counts. I don't wanna watch TV anymore. Can you figure me out? Just to waste more time on the couch. Can you see me? I'm waiting for the right time. I can't reach you, but if you want the pleasure's all mine. Can you see me using everything to hold back? I guess this could be worse, walking out the door with your back.
You're listening to Bags by Claro. You can fit like 5 bags on a golf cart. So this wouldn't really affect your grocery shopping, Christmas shopping.
Not at all.
This is still we're talking minimal lifestyle change for maximum impact.
Maximum impact because it's super. You're gonna look for errands to run. You're gonna be looking for things to do because it's so fun to be on that golf cart. Especially whimsical Rudolph nose right up front this time of year. People love it. People will love it.
Well, Mark Stuart is the former lead singer of Audio Adrenaline and is the author of the new book, Losing My Voice to Find It, How a Rock Star Discovered His Greatest Purpose. In it, he explains how a rare vocal condition cost him his music career, but led to a new calling, serving the people in Haiti through his organization, Hands and Feet Project, whose mission is to raise a generation of orphans who will grow into men and women who will have a relationship with Christ and be leaders in their communities. Jesse, you talked to Mark a little bit about this book and his really crazy story.
It really is a crazy story. So before, we get to, I don't want to reveal too much, before the interview gets started. So just for context, obviously Audio Adrenaline at one point was one of like the biggest sort of like CCM bands in the world. Like they were, I'm sure
between Newsboys and DC Talk and them, I feel like that was kind of the trifecta of 90s Christian rock, right?
Yeah, and so Mark Stuart is the face of Audio Adrenaline. He's a singer, but he had something strange happen where he started to lose his ability to hit certain notes, and he ended up having a pretty severe vocal issue that cost him his ability to sing. Here's Mark, kind of discussing at that time in his life.
Yeah, that was a pretty dark time. And I developed a vocal disorder called spasmodic dysphonia. But I wasn't diagnosed with that until 2 or 3 years after the band was shut down. So what was happening at the peak of our career, my voice started to lose power. It began to get weaker and weaker. And then I started to lose control of my voice. The notes, I couldn't hit the notes anymore. My range, it shrank on both sides, the high side and the low side. And then ultimately, it just became so uncontrollable, I couldn't really sing at all. And really, the key there, the word was control. I basically lost control of what, I thought I was born to do. It was just stripped from me. So as you can imagine, it was frustrating. It was daunting because there was a lot of people depending on me as a lead singer. It's not like you can put a new drum head on or, buy a new guitar. It was a vocal cord, and no one could tell me what was wrong with it. So I would go to voice doctors and vocal coaches, and the voice doctors would, basically take a camera down my throat and look at my vocal cords, and they would tell me there's nothing wrong. And I'm like, well, there's something wrong. And that was the toughest part, was not knowing what happened and why. And then other things began to unravel. The voice thing is a small part of the journey. But, I lost more than my voice. I lost my marriage. I lost my dream to serve God. Everything that I thought I was in control of, I lost control of.
So, he goes through this time where he's, at one point, like this big successful musician. And as he explained, his life really kind of took a really difficult turn. And, that's kind of one of the themes that he talks about a lot, is not surrendering control of your life, but losing control of your life and what can happen as a result of that. And so, he, this really led him to a personal low. But there was a moment where he had an encounter with God and his faith, that sort of reinvigorated him, because it really did seem like his whole life was falling apart. And here's Mark talking about when things started to kind of turn around.
The band was shutting down. My marriage was over. My wife literally just left with a box truck with most of the furniture. And I thought my life was over. I thought, my ministry, my witness was destroyed. And I was ashamed. And the next morning, literally the next morning, I had one night of the darkest despair. But I walked out to my old truck, my old Bronco. And I don't know if I should give it away, but basically God showed up in the front seat of this Bronco through some music that I had written 6 years earlier. It was on the radio. And it was a song that I was singing to somebody else who lost everything. And the moment I asked God to start my truck, he showed up and started my truck. And the song that I'd written 6 years earlier was on the radio. It hadn't been on the radio for 6 years. And I just felt God say to me that I knew you then, and I had you write this song. I knew you before you were born. I knitted you together in your mother's womb. And I'm romantic for you. I'm intentional every moment. I'm in control. And that was the rebirth. That was like me being reborn again. And I started to learn to trust him. And I learned to basically accept that I'm not in control, that he is. He's the beautiful author of my life, not me.
So he kind of has this, healing moment after going through, personal and professional loss. And, he's trying to figure out what he wants to do with his life. And he ends up, his parents were actually missionaries in Haiti. So he decided at that point to go down to Haiti, where he could kind of be anonymous and just serve people. And no one knows him as the former lead singer of this big band. They just know him as someone,
Sure.
serving in the community there. And so, fast forward a few years, it's 2010. He's remarried. He's visiting his parents, serving, doing some mission work in Haiti, and the earthquake happens. He was actually living in Haiti. He was actually in Haiti when the just catastrophic earthquake. I think, everyone, I'm sure both you guys remember the devastation that happened. And so he was in the country and where he was, his building, fortunately, wasn't destroyed. But as he describes it, he didn't really know what was going on at first. But within a few minutes, they realized that this was a really bad situation. And they would soon realize just how bad it was. Here's Mark talking about being in Haiti when the earthquake happened in 2010.
Within about 2 or 3 minutes, all around us, hell broke loose, and we started to discover very quickly the magnitude. We started getting phone calls from, our staff members in Port-au-Prince, and they were like, "It's fell down." The town we were in, Jacmel, it fell down. The roads in and out of where we were collapsed. School buildings were down, and then shortly after that, we realized we were some of the only people with internet, and so we were doing interviews with Wolf Blitzer and the BBC, and one of the only people there that were able to kind of report from the ground on the southern coast of Haiti. We were about 15 miles from the epicenter of the quake, about the same distance as Port-au-Prince. The actual earthquake happened in Leogane, and it was, like I said, the moment the quake hit, it wasn't terrifying. What was devastating was walking around afterwards and seeing the amount of loss. And I've never seen that kind of destruction and death before. It was like a war zone. And but then quickly the church, capital C, started to come together, and it was fantastic to see not only the American church bring in supplies, but the church in Haiti come together as well. And it was remarkable how God worked.
So, after that, it really led to him kind of, his whole mission has become, the big thing that he wants to do with his life now is serve the community in Haiti. And, we talked earlier about his organization, the Hands and Feet Project. And, his story has such this, from, really high highs to these really low lows to kind of rediscovering his purpose, with the book and just with his own personal testimony. He's now able to see that his story can really hopefully be used to inspire others that when they lose control, it's actually an opportunity for God to take control. And, here's kind of Mark reflecting on kind of just the direction his life has gone since then.
It was just gradual steps. God just kept moving the needle for me to have a voice for Haiti. It was the adoption. It was the earthquake. It was becoming a voice for the fatherless. It was then becoming a fighter for family preservation. And I became entrenched with using my voice to fight for kids who didn't have a voice of their own. The earthquake was a part of that, but it was multiple things that God used to just keep driving me home. And it wasn't until my friend Roger was like, "You got to tell this story. Your voice went from being a rock star to the voice of these kids, and what you went through in loss and with the earthquake and all these things is an epic journey that should be told. It's a testimony of redemption. Yes, but it's also just an incredible story." And I was like, "Wow, it does feel at times like I was kind of the Forrest Gump of Christianity. Like these things would just happen." And it was remarkable.
So, yeah, it's such a fascinating story. You can learn more. His book, it's out now, Losing My Voice, to find it. How a Rock Star Discovered His Greatest Purpose. And it's by Mark Stuart.
Man, thanks a lot, Jesse. And thanks, Mark, for sharing that story. That's super cool. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, Listener of the Week.
Drift away and I could forget I had only one last feather left. I wore it on the island of my head. I had only one thing to do and I couldn't do it yet.
There are over 1 million children trapped in the darkness of sexual slavery. Destiny Rescue is a Christian-based organization dedicated to rescuing these kids and helping them stay free. Girls like Tala, who once was a worship leader, became trapped and sold for sex. All seemed hopeless, yet she still prayed for a way out. Then one night, she was found by a Destiny Rescue agent. Our rescue agents are relentlessly seeking, finding, and rescuing brave individuals around the world through a variety of rescue tactics. We help survivors let go of traumatic past through individual aftercare plans and empower them to live out their God-given destinies. Today, Tala is going to college and getting a communications degree. She is earning a safe living and has even returned as a worship leader in her church. She has found hope, worth, and restoration in the light of Jesus Christ. You can be a light and reach the next child waiting in the darkness at destinyrescue.org.
You're listening to You Had Your Soul With You by The National. All right, it's time for one of our favorite segments. We're going to do another round of Listener of the Week. Take it away, Jesse.
All right, well, it is that time, Tyler. Like you said, it is. I love doing this. Meeting the good people who listen to this podcast. Listener of the Week, and I found a listener of this week. Yeah, exactly. I found a listener of the week this week, and who sent 3 interesting facts. But in light of our conversations earlier about my pitch to the president, I found someone that has actually met a president, and I have a lot of questions I'm going to ask her. I would like to welcome to the show Kelsey. Kelsey, congratulations. You are a listener of the week.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Kelsey, where are you calling us from?
I am currently calling you from the ski bus in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Salt Lake
City, Utah. Are you from Salt Lake City, or did you relocate there?
We relocated. We just moved here a few months ago from Houston, Texas. And then before that, Joplin, Missouri.
What brought you from Houston to Salt Lake City?
My husband's a software engineer. They have what's called the silicone slopes over here. The tech industry is really booming in Salt Lake, so we moved here.
The silicone slope. I like that.
I like the silicone slope. That sounds like a cool sledding location. When you first said it, I kind of thought that you meant your husband was involved in the fake snow they do for ski resorts. And now I understand that's not the case. But that sounds like a cool jump. Well, Kelsey, you sent 3 interesting facts. I want to do the first 2 pretty quickly because I want to talk about you meeting the president. But you were attacked by a haunted house. How does a haunted house go about attacking someone?
Oh man.
Well, okay. So we lived in Joplin, and the tornado that hit in 2011, the houses and stuff, the people that survived had basements. And so we were determined to find a home with a basement. And so we were looking at different houses, and we went to a home that was probably about 100 plus years old. And it was a really strange home. It had the pantries and the refrigerator and everything was like covered in wood. So it kind of like disguised itself. It had strange rooms in the house. Oh, and the basement was something else. The basement, you went down and you were in what looks like a normal basement. And then all of a sudden, like you walk into a small room and there's a toilet in the middle of the room that's active, and that's it.
Wait, hold on, Kelsey. The toilet is just in the middle of the room. There's no walls around it. It's just a room with a toilet right in the middle.
Yes, and a drain in the middle of the room.
That should be a red flag.
It was very strange.
So how did this sounds like the creepiest house I've ever heard described. Like secret rooms, a basement, 100-year-old, a giant basement with a toilet right in the middle of the floor. It sounds horrifying. And you're telling me this home attacked you at some point?
Yes, it did. So when we make our way upstairs, my husband was wanting to check the attic. And so he couldn't get the attic door open. So he had this bright idea that he would get on all fours and I would stand on his back and pull the door open. And so I'm basically surfing on his back and I pull on the attic door and it wouldn't budge. And then all of a sudden it busts open, smacks me in the face and shatters my nose.
Shatters your nose?
Yeah, I had to get surgery afterwards.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
because
no.
of the accident.
So I'm assuming you did not purchase this home.
No, we didn't. I'm surprised we didn't get in trouble either because I literally bled all over the white carpet and the white tile and everything else. It was bad.
I don't know why you would have gotten in trouble. The house attacked you.
Yeah, it sounds like a lawsuit to me. It also sounds like that's the type of home that it's not uncommon for blood to be everywhere in there. Like there's probably been a lot of murders in that house. So I don't think they were too worried about a bloody nose. You also grew up in a town like our former listener of the week that had a haunted orb. You've had a lot of creepy stuff, Kelsey, happen in your life.
Yeah, so we called it the Spook Light. I grew up in Northeast Oklahoma, and just right on the edge of Northeast Oklahoma, Southwest Missouri, there is an area in the woods called the Devil's Promenade. So people would go and park on this bridge and wait for the Spook Light to show up. And it was this light that would just kind of come out of nowhere, kind of float around, and then disappear. So that was the Spook Light. I never went and visited it because I first heard about it when I was in preschool that time at daycare from one of the daycare workers.
Yeah. And
it terrified me. I never went, but a lot of my friends have.
I don't blame you, but I'm going to be honest with you. A creepy orb at, the Devil's Curve is not as scary as the reason that someone would put a toilet right in the middle of a room. There's no good reason for that. That would haunt. That is chilling to me. That somebody like hired a contractor, a plumber, even if it was 100 years ago, because even back then the guy's like right in the middle of the room. You sure? Why do you want it here, sicko? There's no good explanation to have a toilet right in the middle of a giant room. Okay, finally, this is one of the reasons you jumped out, Kelsey, is because you have accidentally met President George W. Bush. Now, listen, earlier in the show, I was talking about some very exciting policy ideas I had for the American people. Unfortunately, I have not had the opportunity to meet anyone in power that could institute my incredible ideas. So I need to know how you accidentally met President Bush, because I need to meet somebody in power. How did you accidentally meet him?
Right. So when I was in college, I was taking an economics class. It was kicking my butt, really. And he was offering extra credit to students if they would go to this political rally that was coming into town. So I was like, well, yeah, I'll do that. I need the extra credit. So you had to get cleared, fingerprinted and all that. I show up to the rally a little early and there's like a ton of people there. And I'm 4'11". I'm really short. And so I was kind of standing in the back. And one of the workers came up to me and is like, you can see better if you move over to the side. And I was like, oh, okay. So I kind of moved over to the side and was standing there. And being 4'11", it's not much better because everyone is huge in front of me. You keep getting elbowed in the face and stuff. So I got elbowed, and the people in front of me are like, oh, you're so short. Why don't you get in front of me? So they kind of pushed me in front of them. So then I'm sandwiched in between more people. And before I know it, the people just kind of keep pushing me forward because I keep getting in their way. And then before I know it, I'm at the front. And President George W. Bush comes out, and he heads over to our section first. And I look around, and I'm in the handicap section. I didn't realize I was there until he came straight towards us, and I'm surrounded by everybody that's in, wheelchairs and stuff. And of course, he comes over there and introduces himself, and we shake hands and stuff. And so, thanks us for coming, and then continues on with the rally. But that's how I accidentally got to meet him.
Were you tempted to shout your most crazy policy idea right to him? Toilets in the middle of every room, of every home. Like, that should be building code. Were you tempted to take advantage of the opportunity?
I kept my mouth shut. I just wanted my extra credit to get in and get out. So.
Hey, that's a spirit. I like the minimal effort. Good job, Kelsey. Like, you're a listener after my own heart, because I too would have probably left immediately after I secured the credit. Well, Kelsey, you've had a very fascinating life, and
surprisingly
stay away
spooky
from
life.
creepy old homes. Yeah, a very terrifying life. I'm not going to lie. A lot of terrifying episodes. But thank you for calling in. Thank you for being our listener of the week.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I enjoy it.
Listen, if you go into a house, you open a room, and I can't get over this. Right in the middle of the room is a toilet. It makes no sense. It's very disturbing. Like,
I don't want to see more.
I don't want to, because like usually toilets are backed up against a wall. You know what I mean? But you're just wide open right out there. There's something very, very unsettling about that. Like someone put that toilet there on purpose, and there's no good reason to do it. I need to find the location. Listen, I'm gonna connect with Kelsey offline. I need the address of this home, and I need to find the backstory here. I will call the previous owners and find out why this toilet's right in the middle of the room. I mean, I feel like I'm more curious about that. Were you guys not very unsettled by that? It threw me off the whole time thinking about this toilet in the middle of the room.
I had a hard time focusing on the rest of her stories because I was trying to come around to that. And also the husband's idea. I've had my fair share of kind of harebrained ideas, but I'm going to get on all fours. You stand on my back and pull on I don't want to see anything else in this house after I've seen the toilet. Why would you go to what is already just
there's locks on the outside of the doors in the house.
It.
It's like, okay, I've seen enough here. I've seen enough of this, serial killer's hideaway, but I don't need to go to the attic to see like the meat hooks hanging from the ceiling. No, thanks.
Have these people never seen a horror movie? They just avoided every single John Carpenter? Never happened.
The attic is nothing but meat hooks hanging from the ceiling and like a pentagram made out of candles on the floor. It's like, okay, I've seen enough. I'm just going to use the bathroom before we go. I think this is the toilet downstairs, and then we're out of here. I don't like that story one bit.
Thanks anyway, Kelsey. Yeah. We don't mean to disparage your experience only after you've logged off, but still.
That is horrifying.
This is obvious stuff. This is obvious stuff. Yeah. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for us this week. After a long, thanks for sticking with us, everybody, today for a special extra long episode of the podcast. And thanks especially to Mark Stuart. Really appreciate him coming on. Check out his new book, Losing My Voice to Find It, How a Rockstar Discovered His Greater Purpose. Also, while you're there, check out Relevant Daily on our Apple Podcast page. That's where I give you the top 5 stories of the day at the intersection of faith and culture. And with that,
well, hey, real quick, Tyler, we got a big week. Like a lot of people phone it in the holidays. Not us. We got a couple big shows coming up. We got Andy Mineo and Lecrae coming on to play a Christmas game with us next week. Jamie Ivey is co-hosting. We got some big shows coming up lately. So refresh your feeds frequently, people. We got some good ones coming. We're ending the decade in style, as I say. So I'm excited to show up there, and excited to I'm really excited to see what the next week is going to look like for us. There's a lot of possibilities. Wow, it's going to shake things up. It's going to be trending. It's going to be. I can't wait to. It's going to be a big week. I'll be launching my political podcast, which will have one topic and one topic only. That's the golf cart thing. It's going to be just more golf cart talk. I'm talking decorations for them, battery range, keeping radiuses tight. That's the whole topic. Political talk. That's coming soon too. I'm very excited. Very.
Oh man. well, we will see you all next week. Looking forward to that one. And I think until then, we'll wrap it up. I'm Tyler Huckabee.
I'm Chandler String.
I'm Jesse Carey.
Have a great weekend, everybody. See you next week.
I'm watching them shine. You should be held
you for listening to the Relevant Podcast. If you like what you heard, be sure to leave us a review on iTunes. Check out other shows from the Relevant Podcast Network in the podcast section at relevantmagazine.com. And while you're there, browse exclusive podcast merchandise at our online store. Make sure to subscribe to Relevant Magazine. Info is available at relevantmagazine.com/subscribe.
Well, here's the thing. You can jump out full speed at the golf cart and not even get that hurt.
Relevant Podcast Network.
Time is precious, and so are our pets. So time with our pets is extra precious. That's why we started Dutch. Dutch provides 24/7 access to licensed vets with unlimited virtual visits and follow-ups for up to 5 pets. You can message a vet at any time and schedule a video visit the same day. Our vets can even prescribe medication for many ailments, and shipping is always free. With Dutch, you'll get more time with your pets and year-round peace of mind when it comes to their vet care.
Go to Dutch.com to get vet care that is always there for just $92 a year.